countdown. And we're live. Hola, cage fighting connoisseurs. Google has eliminated our countdown, so every start is a surprise. Please bear with us. Of course, that threw Dallas Winston, my co-host for this installment, off his game, and he wasn't able to video bomb my introduction. Dallas, what are you doing? Dallas?
Video bomb. Hi.
Video bomb. Hola.
Hi. Good day. Good day to you, sir.
Good day to you. You ready to do the in-depth preview on Bellator 106? Eugene and I just did the care, don't care preview. Now I'm going to pretend like I really know anything.
What was the general consensus on the care, don't care?
We care. We care pretty good. I mean, the three top fights are pretty badass. Eugene cares more about the Joe Riggs fight than I do. And we didn't much care about Mike Richmond and Akop Stepanyan. And well, Eugene cared because the guy was Armenian, but that was it.
I think he's Russian.
He's Russian-Armenian. I looked him up in Wikipedia. A name like that is always going to be Armenian, or generally.
A name like what? Stepanyan?
Yeah. That Y-A-N thing. Parisian, Gamburian.
Oh,
you see the trend
nice.
there? Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can pick that up. Well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're
sharp.
welcome.
Strong sharp. Strong sharp. Beyond that, strong start to the show.
Thank you.
Both worth mentioning.
Chewy, no Chewbacca today.
No, Bobby D's holding it down.
I see, but we can't see his
Taxi
face.
driver.
He's just,
Taxi driver style.
There he goes. Yeah. That's a nice one. That's
yeah. My crew runs deep.
Someday a real rain is going to come and wash all the scum off the streets, Dallas. So watch out.
Nice. I see. I saw what you did there.
Yeah. So, Bellator 106, overall thoughts on the card, and then we'll get into fight by fight.
It's excellent. It's got to be their best card ever, even without Tito and Rampage.
Is it even better without, now that it doesn't have that whole back?
You know, I was going to say, in a way, I think this all works out better. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at watching Tito and Rampage, but, I mean, the focus of the card...
You just paid $45 for it, would you?
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I'm sure, I don't know how that works out. I'm sure you're not just going to be stiffed. But I'm not overly optimistic about Bellator getting into pay-per-view. You know, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just hard. I think they're doing great right now. They've done better than almost anyone else. They definitely don't have the love that Pride had, because no one will. I mean, you can't replicate Pride ever. But hell, I mean, 105, 106 shows, and it's not like this is one of those places the UFC just can't say, all right, we kind of want to pick you off, so we're going to buy you. I mean, that's not going to happen. So,
well, Dana White says they have no value.
That's silly, Dana.
It is kind of convenient that the one competitor that's owned by a bigger corporation than Zuffa is the one that they say has no value. It's classic sour grapes.
Well, I mean, he said the same thing about Strikeforce before they bought it. He used to say the same thing about Pride before they bought it, and then once they buy it, all of a sudden, you know, there's no blacklist. You can actually say that, you know, Strikeforce or Pride on the broadcast. So, you know, no offense, it's Dana's position, it's his job or whatever, but I think it's honestly kind of silly to put any stock into that. He's doing what he needs to do. He's protecting his brand and denigrating the other. I guess he has to do half of that, but it's business, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is business. It is the fight business, the face punching business, and that brings us to our first fight of the main event. Is the Richmond Stepanyan card fight on the main card?
Yeah, it is.
Was this gonna be Carol Parisian?
Well, Carl was gonna fight Christian Souza, but what happened? Did Carl get injured there?
Yeah, Carl got injured. Now Alejandro Garcia is in for Souza.
But this is a good one to start it off with, because this is just going to be like an explosion of violence. I mean, both of these guys someone's going to go to sleep in this one. Stepanyan, I don't know how well you know him, but he was the dude that was just, I mean, crushing Justin Wilcox before Jesus swept down from the clouds and granted him the strength to, you know, it was actually pretty sweet because he got that takedown. Homeboy was in midair. Stepanyan was crushing him. He came out in the second, and these weren't the kind of kicks where, you know, ow, thud, that's a hard leg kick. I mean, Wilcox was losing his footing. Stepanyan smashed him with a low kick, and I mean, he was up in midair and somehow managed to grab onto that leg and, you know, get into his guard, pass. It was actually pretty damn cool.
It was pretty awesome performance from Wilcox, and I do think you're right to suspect the hand of baby Jesus, who might have been personally in the cage, because that move was crazy. I mean, there was no real rational explanation for how he could do that.
Wilcox's whole story, he's got a bunch of stuff where he wasn't sure what to do. He asked for a sign from God, and a couple days later, the Bellator contract came up, and he wasn't ready. And so, man, I don't know. It's if there's evidence of divine intervention, Justin Wilcox has brought
Case
us to
closed.
MMA's. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think Richard Dawkins just threw in the towel,
that's
or he
right.
will when he hears about this, probably because he's watching the show. He might be one of our 2 live viewers right now.
More importantly, Christ is basically in his corner. It's his corner man. He's got the spit bucket. He's got the hole, and that's not a bad cat to have in your corner.
He never forgets the inswell. He never forgets the inswell. That's the
One of
thing about Christ in your corner.
yeah, one of his many lucrative, aspects. One of many.
Well, you got to pay Jesus up front, man. He's on the comeback tour now, and he's not kidding around. So that's probably blasphemous. I shouldn't have said it. But anyway, apologies to anybody that was offended.
Yeah. Apologies to every Christian out there.
Yeah, to the whole Christian universe. Anyway, so what does Richmond have for the dangerous Cup Stepanyan?
He's got some nasty, nasty boxing. The first time I don't remember how many fights in he was in with Bellator. It was one of his earlier ones, but Chris Hordeski way back in the day was a pretty big signing for Bellator, and it was like, ooh, hey, and he got fucking smashed. I mean, Richmond just, lamped him. It was shocking, and that's kind of why I like Bellator. I don't know, fans at that point, it's kind of like the same thing with King Mo. It happens a lot, and I kind of just don't get it. I mean, then they start talking about how much Hordeski sucks, and he was never. I mean, shit, give Richmond some credit. And even though Bellator brings in big guys, they would not, if they wanted to pave a sweet little, like a dessert style, here's the title, they would not put them in a tournament. And that's the whole idea, that these big guys come in, and it says something that
Bellator, where title shots are earned, not given.
Yeah, that's really what's up.
That's their brand. Of course, now we've got Eddie Alvarez. I'm jumping ahead of myself, but Eddie Alvarez didn't win a tournament. So we'll get to that, though. So you got to pick in this Richmond Stepanyan. I got to go with the kickboxer against the boxer as a general rule.
Man, poor Richmond, I think his last 2 losses were all the Russians. He lost to Frodo.
And did you think that, did you agree with the decision in the Frodo fight?
Oh, yeah. That was not, I don't think that was really that close. Frodo was a beast. I was really surprised. Richmond's a pretty good wrestler too. He's an old military guy. I believe both these guys are military guys. I think Stepanyan was in the Russian military too. But man, I don't know. I think Stepanyan is probably, he's got the better momentum. He's got the cleaner and more diverse style. But Richmond's kind of like classic mean, hard-nosed wrestle boxer. I think really I'll probably pick Stepanyan because I think he can handle a lot more ranges. Richmond's got to be a little bit more in the pocket, even though he won by a really nice high kick a little while ago. I think I'll go Stepanyan just for having more tools. His footwork is amazing. His movement is good. Stepanyan.
Stepanyan. I don't think dos means 2 in Russian, but I'm using it that way.
Well done. You're mixing genres there, and I approve.
Yeah, mix and learn. And this brings us to Joe Riggs versus Mike Brulas. This is the Fight Master finale, correct?
Correct.
So how many fights did each of these guys win to make the Fight Master finale?
Yeah, I want to say 2 or 3, but the big story is Brulas. He's got kind of like that classic storybook thing where his dad had cancer, and on his deathbed he literally said, take care of your mother and become a champion. And man, I tell you what, Brulas is like amped on that right now. It's kind of like the Justin Wilcox thing. I don't know what's going to happen, but that whole storybook thing, he's riding it hard, and it is a pretty good story.
Is it fair that Joe Riggs has to fight a man and the ghost of his father?
No, I don't believe so.
I think should Riggs file a complaint with the commission?
Well, but then Justin Wilcox is, the aforementioned Jesus is his co-pilot. That's going to open a whole can of worms, Nathan. Let's go with physical beings. I think we should restrict the rules and regulations to physical entities.
And shaggy beards.
Not sure how that.
Oh, well, I'm just talking about appeals to the commission. They made they've been making fighters trim their beards. I think that's bullshit. But it's neither here nor there. Neither of these fighters is particularly hirsute.
Excellent vocab. I don't know. I wondered about that. There's I always wondered, when Kimbo, people were saying that the only reason Kimbo hasn't got clocked is because he's got like a fur coat, and I don't know. On one hand, though, there's friction there, so if you punch, first of all, I think it's a great target. If a dude's got a goatee or a beard, if you're sparring with a guy like that, all you do is lock in on that.
Like
You know?
if we were going right now, I would zoom
Yeah,
in on that soul patch that you're sporting and
yeah.
just
That's
like
why it's
that.
there. That's
Yeah,
why it's there.
just pop that. I think anybody who thinks a beard is defending them from the impact of punches is an imbecile.
It's not. Well, I would say just by physics or science or something you can't argue with, that a clean-shaven guy versus a guy with a Kimbo beard, he's gonna absorb. That's gonna absorb a little bit more. Sure, it could be like one millionth of whatever. Of course it is. How can it not? I
Well,
mean,
a tiny bit, but the fact anyone who believes that's going to be of note, of merit, of value, of impact on the fight, that's
yeah, I don't think it's that.
farcical.
That's kind of my thing. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But if you really think to a certain degree, I don't know. Let's do a study on that,
But
shall
we're
we?
well astray from the fight. Now, Joe Riggs does not have a Cinderella story going, although a lot of people remember Joe Riggs from way back in the day. Fought the infamous hospital brawl with Nick Diaz. He once fought for the UFC title against Matt Hughes.
Well, I mean, the kid's 30 years old right now. How
31.
crazy is that? 31. So it's weird to think, the Hughes fight was what, I don't know, between 4 and 6 years ago, something like that.
Dude, that was like 2006. I think it was 7 years ago.
What year is it?
It was
Where are we at?
2000. It might have been 2005. It's 2013 now, son.
Earth, right?
2013. Yeah,
Earth.
Earth.
This is Earth.
Planet Earth.
20. Well, it was a long ass time ago. It's crazy for a guy that young. So 10 years ago or whatever, a lot of people were saying this kid's got the skills to be champion, and he showed that.
That's what
I
they
think,
always said, that in practice he was the deadliest guy in the gym, well-rounded, strong.
well, and he is. He's got everything. He's a judo black belt. He's one of the only guys in MMA to blitz someone. He knocked out, or he TKO'd Chris Lytle from the bottom with an
Hmm.
elbow, which is
Yep.
the thing of beauty. I don't think he smashed him and then like Lytle fell over. I think they had to check him and then it was a cut. But really, the dude ended the fight with one nasty ass elbow off his back. Which, think about that, kids. Every time you say the guy on top is always winning, niet.
Yep.
That's a little
Exactly.
French for you there. Niet.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So where are we at? What are we talking about? Oh yeah, so Bronzulis, I think Joe. See, if you lay it down like by the numbers or on paper, I mean Riggs should kill this guy. But the thing is that if Riggs had always done what he should have done on paper, he probably would be champion right now.
And in the UFC, not Bellator.
Right. So, really, I'll probably go with Bronzulis on this one. I really like both of these guys. I'd like to see Joe get a little respect and credibility back, because this is another, he's had a lot of, big chances, and if he doesn't get this one, people are always going to consider him a guy who had all the chances and couldn't do it. So I feel bad, but I think I'm probably going to take Bronzulis here. Although, man,
Yep.
Riggs looked great on the show, man. His jiu-jitsu looked sick. He looked good on the show.
That he
Sure.
did, but injuries forced the delay of the finale here. So, and Riggs was the injured party, correct?
I think it was his eye, though, like
His eye.
eyeball. And
So you
that's
don't
something
think
I would
that'll-
not fuck with. Like, I know fighters have this thing where you want to be tough and fight through and not tap, which is, I still
That's
don't get
dumb.
that. But yeah, if my eye is jacked up, I'm not scrapping.
That's a
Just
good.
saying.
That is excellent advice for fighters. I think
Thank you.
it behooves everyone to follow that advice. I think Michael Bisping was fighting for a while with signs of a detached retina, which is pretty dumb.
I
And,
haven't heard
and
that.
I was, well, he's out with an eye injury now, and I think I read something. I could be wrong, kids, once again, but I think I read something where he was saying that he had some of the symptoms before. Anyway, never mind. I'll just pretend. Let's pretend that didn't
We're
happen.
far astray, Nate.
We are, and I was pressing you. So you
Pressing
got
me?
your pick. I
That's-
was pressing you to be more timely today, and here I am leading us astray.
But I'll start with that hirsute business.
Yes, I confused you with my
Yes.
ample vocabulary. So you're going with Bronzulis. I got to go with Riggs.
I'm glad
I
you are,
think he can
because
do it.
it's kind of a toss-up, really, to me. I mean, who knows? To me, this is not really a skill thing. It's going to be more of a heart and will thing, because Bronzulis is not an
Now
easy
you're
guy
making
to
me
finish.
question my pick because Riggs has always let me down in the past.
Well, that's been, I mean, even though I like the guy, that's kind of been the thing, his overall consistency. And I don't know, and it's really opposite. That's not just a knock on Joe, but Bronzoulis is the opposite. He's beaming with confidence. He feels like he's a pawn in a greater plan. So don't let me influence you, though.
I'm not. But now we're to the big time. Pat Curran and Daniel Strauss for the featherweight title.
Big time.
This is a big one. I think Pat Curran is easily one of the top 3 featherweights in the world, if not number 2.
I said that a while ago, and everyone got mad at me. But he's something. He's something special. He's a legit 3-dimensional fighter, and that's just not that common.
And he has a style that just shuts down other guys' games.
He was, and I understand why he was a little criticized for being really tentative and complacent, and he was in the Alvarez fight. There's no question he was, even though that fight showed unreal takedown defense. I mean, Eddie could not take him down. That really showed his toughness and durability. But then he dropped down to 145, and the guy who was being criticized for being complacent is like sprinting all the way across the cage and throwing a flying knee, Peruvian necktie on the Peruvian. I don't know. He's been a madman. The only what I thought was uncharacteristic performance was against Pitbull. It was really weird. He just sat in the pocket with him, and if you're going to sit in the pocket, you should be throwing. But he sat and wanted to dodge and parry. And
I think he must have had a hurt hand or something in that fight. That fight really puzzled me. And I watched it a couple times and it never added up. I didn't understand if he was just that wary of Pitbull's power, or if he had some kind of hurt wing or something.
Well, if he was that wary of Pitbull's power, then I would not stand toe-to-toe with him and not throw. I would never, in MMA, it's just one of my little things. I would never stand right in someone's wheelhouse with my hands, with my guard up. I mean, it's just.
Curran's got slick defense, though, and it's, it worked out for him, but.
Yeah, I mean, so the bad side is his strategy, but the good side is he pretty much fought Pitbull's fight. He sat in the trenches and slung it with him, and still that was a close one though. But Strauss brings a whole different kind of he's a different kind of opponent. His wrestling is really, really legit. He's a powerful dude, and he's a quick boxer. I'm surprised his boxing has come along really well. I think he's kind of turned into a complete mixed martial artist now. Of course, this is a rematch from way back in the day, and I had actually looked all over the internet for the fight and couldn't find it, but Zombie Prophet found it.
What weight class was that at?
Lightweight.
That was a lightweight. So both guys would come down a division.
Yep. I think that was at XFO 29, but it showed up on the playlist yesterday, so I had a good time. It was a good old time watching that old.
And did you learn anything from that? I mean, what did you see in that first match?
Well, Curran TKO'd him in the second round, but they're complete. I mean, you hear it a lot, but they're both totally different fighters now, for sure. So I expect a totally different match.
But you still think Curran will win?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Curran.
TKO or decision?
Decision. But I saw a couple people complaining that Bellator was saying that Strauss was his stiffest challenge yet when he had already fought Pitbull. But, I mean, I don't know. Didn't Strauss beat Pitbull? I don't know if you got the shit right in front of you, but I'm pretty sure Strauss...
I think he did. But why are people complaining about fight hype anyway? I mean, don't they know that every fight is the toughest challenge ever? And
they have not figured that out yet, no.
I mean,
honestly, it's a big bunch. I don't mean to insult the entire MMA audience, but I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see. Yes, he did. He defeated Patricio Freire by decision at Bellator 45 way back in May 2011. God, they put on a lot of events.
Yeah, man. That's what I was saying. I mean, that's tough to do.
Yep, and you can't argue that they can make the trains run on time. They can't seem to make people like them, but they can make the trains run on time. So we're both picking Curran. Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and predict a TKO. I think Strauss is too dangerous for him to mess around with because he's not as limited. I think the pit bulls are both 2-dimensional but not 3-dimensional.
Well, it's almost like 1.5 dimensional because they never use their black belts, almost ever. I mean, if they do, it's to escape back to the feet. They're almost like hybrid because they're both pretty good wrestlers too. And even though they're black belts, really, it's all their grappling is pretty much designed to get them back up to the feet to throw with their hands. And Strauss I don't know about Strauss's jiu-jitsu, but just his wrestle boxing in itself is pretty serious shit. Yeah,
I think he's much more likely to phase shift than the pit bulls. I didn't mean they were undimensional. I just mean they only want to fight in one phase.
Yeah, you're right on the money there, and that's the big danger with Strauss is not only will he face shift, he's smooth doing it, and that's hard. It's hard for a guy with a wrestling background just to be able to shoot doubles and singles cleanly. Strauss does that in his boxing now. He looks totally comfortable on the feet. We've talked about it before. Wrestling, if you have a wrestling background, it's hard to be smooth on the feet. I mean, you can develop a Hendo H-bomb, but it's hard to be smooth and comfortable on the feet. And Strauss has all that, and he can face shift between them quickly and efficiently. So it's going to be a real tough fight for Pat.
Yeah, but I think Curran is up to it. I'm really, like I said, I'm high on Curran. Up next, somebody I'm not quite as high on, Muhammad King Mo Lal against Emmanuel Newton. Now, King Mo should win this one, but he fucked up and lost the last time these two guys fought.
Man, I guess I don't get why everyone's all mad at King Mo.
I'm not mad at him.
You just said you're not so high. Okay,
I'm not
you're
high
not
on
so
him
high.
because of the Newton loss. Because when you've got the skills and you make such you deliberately make the decision to fight with your hands at your waist and try to do a shoulder roll like because you trained with Mayweather's brother or uncle for a little while, like I,
That's
it's
that's
just
not what happened though. That's not what
what
happened.
happened. He had his hands down and the guy caught him with a spinning
He
back fist.
no, he caught him in between punches. It was right. It was like a
He still
beautiful.
had his hands down.
Yeah, of course. So he got caught, but it doesn't matter if he has. A fighter can have their hands down all they want. The only time you need your hands up is what I was saying before, is if you're in the pocket, if someone's going to hit you. So
Yeah.
that's the only time you need to have your fucking hands up. And with this whole thing with Mo, like I don't get that. Number one, I think Newton is probably the most underrated fighter in Bellator. I'd put him in Syed Awad up there. Look at Newton's record. He's beaten like eight, I don't know, between 7 and 9, like past one-time UFC. And that might not sound like that much, but if you're not in the UFC, that's like the best you can do. He's got an amazing record. He's got an awesome, totally unorthodox style. That spinning back fist was like a fucking karate chop. That's not how you throw a normal spinning back fist. It was beautiful. It was in sequence. He was a little off balance, and he just looked over his shoulder. And I mean, if you're Mo, like, how the hell are you gonna? I don't know. I don't look at it so much as a knock on Mo's striking defense. I mean, that was an amazing fucking shot. First of all, so
It's
I
true.
don't know. I don't
I'm
think
not
that was
trying
a
to take
giant
anything away
flaw.
from Newton. I just felt like Mo wasn't taking him seriously, was taunting him, wasn't keeping his guard up.
Yeah, but
Just
Mo does that to everybody, kind of. You know.
kind of. But we've seen Mo show better striking in some fights and then regress to others. I think Mo is just a sponge. He's so athletically gifted, and he spends so much time watching tape and studying the fight game that I think he confuses himself. I think that he is not. Uh, I think he has all the talent in the world. I think he has very high training IQ, but I don't think his fight IQ is as high as he thinks it is, and he makes mistakes because he's absorbed so much information and hasn't developed a mature style.
Well, I mean, that's tough. Everything is like a double-edged sword. So when Mo did use his wrestling, everyone bitched. All he does is lay on people. Masasi should have beat him. He's just a wrestler. And so now, and the
I
dude
was
is a
not in that
boxer.
camp. The
I
dude
wasn't
is
either. I'm never in that camp. Like, I mean, you're fighting a guy who, one of the best, strikers in MMA who crossed over and held his own and against some K1 guys. So if you're in if anything, he has a weak point, with Musasi, it's his takedown defense and his guard game. He's got good submissions, but he's not necessarily a monster off his back. So, I mean, what the fuck do you expect Mo to do? You know what I mean?
that
So,
was the smart thing to do in the Masasi fight.
yeah, man. I mean, people are going to bitch either way. And really, with Newton is not a big, huge, strong finisher, and he has never been like a one-shot guy. And Mo, usually has a pretty good chin. That was to me an amazing strike, in a completely unexpected, almost an unfathomable outcome. And going in this one, I mean, I'm not so sure, and it's nothing against Mo. I hold Mo in really, really high regard, but I don't know why people don't hold him
All right. Sorry about that. Google decided to cut us off in mid-conversation. Actually, Google's a big King Mo fan and could not handle the smack Dallas was talking about King Mo and just put a clamp down on it.
Kibosh.
Put the kibosh. And a valuable lesson, Dallas. I hope you've learned from your mistakes. So you were saying you can't believe more people aren't picking Newton in this fight, or that nobody essentially is picking Newton in this fight.
Well, I guess I don't have my thumb on the pulse on that one. I would guess our most is that the just check the betting odds on that one. Newton's legit, man. He's tough as shit. He's so unorthodox. His rhythm and his striking. He's got more of, he can box, but he's got like a weird taekwondo style with weird timing and rhythm. I don't know. Overall, I guess why is everyone hating on Mo if he's
King
not
Mo's
that
a
good?
minus 400 favorite.
Holy
There's
shit!
a plus 365. Yep.
Then I would see. It's tough because first of all, I never really bet on MMA, but if I had someone else's money to play with, I would lay down some money on Newton. I mean, really, absolutely, man. Why not? I mean, it's
because he's likely to lose.
Why do you say that though?
Because he is. Because King Mo is incredible.
Now that you put it that
incredible athlete, and Newton is a very good athlete, but not an incredible one. And I would say that 7 out of 10 times King Mo is going to win.
Because athletes always beat martial artists in MMA?
No. Just having watched the first fight, I thought Mo was pretty dominant and had, other than the one strike at the end, I thought Mo had every shot to win that fight.
It's not super fresh in my mind, but my instincts right off the bat, Newton was, just like lancing some 1-2s down, and I remember saying, damn, Mo, you better watch that straight right because it's coming in hard and coming in nasty. So I don't remember Mo dominating at all. I thought it was fairly even. I don't remember.
He clearly hadn't done anything to win the fight at that point. I just felt like seeing the two.
But other than that, he was dominating. Other than not doing shit towards winning the fight, he was owning that motherfucker.
I just felt like the two of them, you see them together, and his punches were harder, and that I didn't feel like Newton was hurting him, and then suddenly he was flat on his ass. So.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. Mo is a good boxer. Everyone gives him shit for it. He's a talented boxer. He's really good. Just like we were talking before about, Strauss and being a wrestler that can box. Mo is a fluid boxer. He's a good boxer. And everyone clowns on him for it. He's trained with the fucking Mayweathers, homies. So
And some will tell you, like our own Brent Brookhouse will tell you that he picked up some bad habits from the Mayweathers. That he shouldn't be trying to shoulder roll, and that his boxing was better before he started training with the Mayweathers. That's what I was trying to get at.
I would shoulder roll. It's not that you can't ever. Yeah, sure, it's a riskier move in MMA, but I don't think his boxing was better before by any means. It was more primitive, so he would step in and just heave something. Not that there was no technique, but he's got a lot more overall technique and finesse now. Just with little things like his head movement, his bobbing and weaving, his angles. He's a much better boxer now.
Well, we'll see. So, what's your pick? Are you going to put your money where your mouth is, your reputation where your imaginary money is, and pick Newton?
Well, I'm not saying, I've never said Newton is great, he's going to destroy Mo. I'm saying, like, why is he, why is Mo that drastically favored? I'm saying Newton deserves credit. He's on Mo's level is what I'm saying. It's not like Mo's supposed to squash him the first time something weird happened and now he's going to this time. Newton's tough as hell, man. I think I'm interested to see what Mo does here because, I see it two ways. He could come out really wrestling heavy, or he could come out and be like, fuck y'all, my boxing is fine, let me show you how. So I have no idea how this thing is going to
I think if he does the latter, it's going to be very nerve-wracking for fans of King Mo. Dude has got to have some sense and use his wrestling in a fight like this against a guy who's already knocked him out once. That's just...
Well, you're right, and the ideal strategy is not, I gave 2, it's right in the middle. I would come out and commit on the feet and really blast, throw hard, committed punches and make Newton think, all right, he's going to come after me, and then start to phase shift, throwing some... The best way to disrupt another striker is to change levels on him, is to strike with him first, then change levels on him. And I think absolutely Mo has all the tools. He deserves to be the favorite here. I'm a little hesitant saying that because Newton... won definitively the first time. I'll go with Newton just to kind of walk my talk a little bit. I have all the respect for Mo. I think these are the 2 best light heavyweights in Bellator by far.
Better than Attila Vey.
Yep. I thought Newton beat Vey the first time. Not that it was a huge robbery, but to me it was like, I don't get it. That was pretty clear for Newton, I thought. So yeah, I think Vey is probably a little bit behind both of these guys. Look at the records too. I mean, status, experience, records. Yeah, I think these are the two best. This should be for the strap, really. I think it's for the interim, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's what they made it. So
So
I'm gonna pick Mo. I'm gonna pick Mo here.
good. I like both of these dudes, man. I don't want to see. To me, I'm excited that both of these guys, they're awesome light heavies for Bellator to have. They're exciting. They're
They're laying it
good
on the
shit.
line. Yep.
Word. Yeah, they're laying
Yep.
on line. They're embracing the grind.
And speaking of laying it on the line, Eddie Alvarez and Michael Chandler. This is the big one.
Yeah, it's funny. I guess I didn't quite, I knew we were going to do this card, but when you look back and compare the last fights for a frame of reference, this is another one. Like, how do you stand behind a strong pick in this fight based on that amazing, lovely, beautiful chaos and violence of that first fight? That was a thing of beauty.
One of the best fights of 2011, easily. Maybe
Yeah, for sure.
maybe the best. I think the Hendo Shogun fight is the best of that year, but Chandler Alvarez would be the best in most other years.
Yeah, I kind of would put Chandler Alvarez over that. Maybe I loved Hendo and Shogun. Maybe it was just the judging that kind of pissed me off in that. To me, there
Yeah,
were a couple 10. I mean, if you, yeah, don't even. Let's not even do that.
you're
But
gonna go into the 10-10 rounds.
don't. Yeah, don't.
Yeah, no,
Let's not.
no, nobody wants to hear you
not.
climb on your hobby horse. So this time we've got Eddie Alvarez, racked by courtroom drama. He's basically he hasn't fought in a long time.
It's not as long as I thought. It's a little more than a year. It felt like it's been 2 years or whatever, but it's been. I want to say I don't know, a year, a little more than a year.
And Chandler, however, has been a busy fellow.
Yeah, I'm sold on Chandler now after that Rick Hahn fight, man.
Oh yeah, I was amazed and awestruck the way he just tooled Rick Hahn. I didn't think we would see that. Rick Hahn is a big, strong guy with really skilled judo game. I mean, an Olympian in judo, and he took him down like it was nothing, like the guy had never wrestled in his life.
Well, I think that was a lot of people were talking about the judo versus wrestling thing, and I usually don't put a lot of stock in that, but I think it actualized in that fight because it was a level thing. Chandler didn't clinch with him once. Why would you
Nope.
clinch with an Olympic judoka? He was down, shooting in at his knees or lower. And Hahn, despite everything he's done on the judo mat, is not familiar with going from the standing position to all the way down to your
I've seen him.
toes.
I've seen him stuffed up legs though, just fine. I mean,
Not like that though.
no, not Chandler was the way Chandler was setting those up and the speed at which he was shooting in was incredible. But the subtlety of the setups was even more impressive. I mean, Hahn had no idea when he was going to be shooting in, and it just destroyed him. But I mean, do you think Chandler's improved that much that this is going to be his fight, or?
Well, from an improvement standpoint, I think that does benefit Chandler a lot more. He's only been, I think this is like his fourth or fifth year in the sport, and now he's been embedded down at Alliance, and he has shown drastic improvements in a small amount of time. So, but on the other hand, I don't think you can rule out a guy like Eddie being able to improve as well. He's down a little bit stabilized now with the Black Zillions now that he's moved down there, and
See, that's a red flag for me. I never want to hear for a guy I'm betting on or rooting for. Oh yeah, he's training with the Black Zillions and everything's going great. Like
why?
they have a shitty track record, Dallas. It's time to admit it. That camp is not.
Okay, let me totally flip that around. I would say they have one of the best track records compared to any other team. How many? Look at the tenure of other. Right now, they're being compared. They're being put on the same level as the greatest camps ever. Hume, Jackson's. Who am I missing in there? There's another big one. Paulson. All those
Yep.
guys, and
Yep.
they've been around for what, 2 years, and they're nipping at title shots already. How is that? Is
Well, that's
like
because
a
they're bringing
great
in
thing.
these guys that are already pre-baked as champions. I mean,
Oh, so that
you know.
counts against them? I don't get
I
it.
think so. It's not like they're building these guys from scratch. They're taking guys that have been taught in other gyms.
Yeah, I know. I didn't say that.
And,
I said, look
I'm
at
just
how
saying.
long they've been in, which is like this, and look at the impact their fighters have had. I don't know.
Well,
It's
I
kind of
think
like when Team
they're
Alpha
throwing a lot of
Male.
money around.
I don't even know what that means.
They're buying their way to the title, Dallas.
How,
They're
what?
signing free agents. They're ignoring the spinning caps. They're just
So all those guys went down and trained with world champion kickboxers and the, Overeem and that and
Hmm.
amazing crew they have down there because they were paid to do so and they want the team to look good because what?
Yep.
That's quite the theory. That's something.
I gotta provoke, Dallas. I gotta make this lively. I gotta make this engaging. I've got to throw you softballs that you can then
Okay.
crack
Well,
right
for
out.
now I don't. Okay. Well, geez, I didn't realize you were throwing me a meatball there. But either way, it's kind of like Team Alpha Male. I think I don't remember when, but they fought for a couple titles and lost. And everyone's like, "Oh, Team Alpha Male, they're never going to be." I mean, other than winning the entire championship, what the fuck? If you're getting
Uriah Faber's
shots
whole
at the title,
career debunks that. I mean, I think that the camp
well,
that produced Faber is going to be a great camp. I mean, by
yeah.
definition.
Well, and I guess now everyone's giving him respect because of Bang. I mean, actually, if I was Dwayne, I'd be like, and he should be. That what an honor for a team that, and I didn't get that either. Maybe I don't know what the alpha male thing is, but people seem to not like them. And now all of a sudden that Bang came in and did it. Everyone loves him. They're like, oh, Team Alpha Male, Bang, Ludwig.
Well, they had the winning streak. They had like an incredible winning streak for a camp. I mean, I don't know. And also, Joe Rogan just has the power to tell people what to think like nobody's business. UFC fans tune in. Joe Rogan tells them something, and then they repeat it. That's how it works.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I like Rogan. He's a dude.
I think he's
Just
excellent.
another dude,
I think
man.
he's
He's
excellent.
just
I just think you have to account for the fact that his words are very influential on a certain number of dude bros that believe
yeah,
everything he says.
sure. Yeah, that's always gonna happen though.
That's true. It's the power of the press. But back to Chandler Alvarez. My God, the stakes in this fight. Alvarez sued to get out of his Bellator contract, threw in the towel when he lost an early ruling that the judge somehow thought that the Bellator pay-per-view and TV exposure on Spike was comparable to a UFC pay-per-view and TV exposure on Fox. Alvarez finally figured out he was beaten a few months later, threw in the towel. Now Dana White's saying if he loses these fights, he won't sign him. The rumor is that the Bellator contract is a two-fight contract. Essentially, if Alvarez loses this fight, I don't even know if Bellator wants him back.
Hmm. That's quite the conundrum. I didn't know all the specifics on his contract or
Those
whatever,
are just rumors. But the rumor is and Eddie denied this, so I don't know why I'm repeating it. But irresponsible speculation is what we're here for, Dallas. That he had a one-fight contract and he was contractually obligated to give Chandler a rematch if he wins. It didn't say anything about Chandler being obligated to give him a rematch. It didn't say anything about what would happen to him if he lost to Chandler, other than Dana White says, if you lose to Chandler, we don't want you back. So
Wait a minute. I thought Bellator had no value, Mr. White.
that's why he doesn't want somebody lost to their champ, because obviously, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so overall, all that I read from all that is that Eddie Alvarez is a sought-after prospect, and he's on the UFC level. If the UFC is making it clear that they want him, so
Only
to
if he
me,
wins. Only if he wins.
well, way to take care of your fighters, guys. What the fuck? And Mike,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get all that. Chandler's a great fighter, man. Why is it that you have no value? You're not worthwhile. If you lose to Michael Chandler, the guy's never lost. He's a freak as of now. What is the problem with, like, there's no possible way that anyone not in the UFC can
It's
never
all about
be.
the hype
What the
business and the sales business. It's not fair and it's not right and it's not scientific, but it's just perception, and perception is reality, and there you go.
All right. Well, then I'm not going to argue against it anymore. I guess I just don't get it. But so I guess for this fight, who the hell can know what to expect here? Both these guys are really similar. They're both wrestle boxers. They're good strikers, but they're kind of wild. Excuse me. If anything, I would guess that Chandler's gotten a little more polished and maybe a little more calculating. I don't expect him to go out because I think you could call that first fight a little bit sloppy on Chandler's end.
Well, I think he felt.
winging.
I think he was more intimidated by Alvarez than he would be now, and was sort of throwing Hail Mary passes. Like he was like, "Fuck it, I'm in against the best. I got to take some chances. I gotta make this my fight." And I think Alvarez also has some questionable defense. I think Alvarez is one of these take a punch to give a punch kind of guys, and has a lot of confidence in his abilities and will take a lot of risks.
Yeah, I think they say that in every Bellator fight. It's not an Eddie Alvarez fight until he gets stunned with a punch. Um, yeah, so that either way, this is going to be a great fight. I mean, this should be a war. All I look at is all that outside the cage drama just increases the inside the cage drama for this one. It's going to be a barn burner, man. Um, I don't know why I kind of want Eddie to win this, just because I like him and I feel like
I feel like he
Chandler.
got screwed over in the contract thing, man. I think a lot of fans feel that way, that Bellator did him wrong and that the legal system did him wrong, and this is a guy fighting for his freedom, Dallas, freedom
I,
against the evil empire.
I almost asked why when you said I thought everything was kind of hazy and okay, what I don't know. So who are you going to pick for this one? I think I'm going to take Eddie.
You're gonna pick Eddie. Well,
Yeah,
I'm rooting for Eddie. I really cannot stand to. I've hated to see what the contract situation has done to Eddie. The wasting a year of his fighting life. I think is an unconscionable sin for promoter. But man, Chandler is so good, dude. I just can't pick against him. I'm afraid for Eddie. I'm rooting for him, but I think Chandler is just a beast. His next level. I think he's as good as he's a lightweight Chris Weidman, is what I think, and I think he's serious doings.
I
I
kind of
don't know.
think you're right, to be honest.
I think he might even be able to beat Anthony Pettis.
It's a bold statement. You know, it's weird. You know, not to get
He's
too
got
off
the
track, but
style matchup to beat. To
yeah, it's weird now having Pettis as the champ now, where before, you know, with Pettis, it seems that there are some people that could give him a rough time. You know, and yeah, and I would say Chandler would be one for sure.
Yep, yep.
So you're taking Mike here.
I'm taking Mike. That's
All
my
right,
pick. I'm
taking
regretting it. It
Eddie.
hurts, but I'll be rooting for Eddie. But and I hate to root against Chandler. I'm rooting against Bellator and their legals. And I like Bellator. I want him to succeed, but I just think that the way they handled that contract dispute just didn't pass the smell test.
I don't get that again, though. I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about that, but why? What did they?
I think
They just wanted to hold Eddie to the contract he signed, right?
Yeah, but the way they
That
did
really
it, I
bad.
thought it was bullshit. I mean, like all they taking the UFC's offer and marking out UFC and putting in Bellator. I don't know. I mean, that
I
was
don't know
sort of a
about.
savvy play, but I think that the PR came back and blew up in their face. I don't think the fans liked it, and I think they didn't take that into their calculations.
All right, yeah, I don't know. All I remember is fans saying this is stupid. It's making Bellator look bad. Just let the guy go, and I mean, is sheer
And if they'd done
stupidity.
that, they wouldn't have this fight.
Well, yeah, then they wouldn't. Honestly, how can an organization survive if they say, "Oh, the fans don't think so. We have this fighter under contract, but let's just give him to the UFC because some fucking meathead thinks it makes us look bad." Like, what the fuck? That's
Are you calling me a meathead, Dallas?
not you, no. Because the
Okay.
people who said they should just give him. Well, I guess maybe you did say that. You're kind of meh. But still, I mean, they're. This is a business. They can't just like, that's what a contract is. You don't just say, oh, even though we have this legal binding document and we really can't, I guess I was going to say we haven't done anything wrong. It's not been proven that we've done anything wrong. Why would they just let a guy go? I mean, come on. It's a business, man. It's a business.
Yep, yep. All right. Well, on that note, Dallas signs off in support of every corporate practice that everyone hates. Dallas is behind it completely. So,
Nice meatball. Another
mhm.
meatball. Roll.
All right, all right. So overall, your expectations for this card, pumped?
Excellent. Yeah. Should be a really good one. Should be damn good. I can't remember a better Bellator card top to bottom than this one.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the best card they put together, as fitting for a planned pay-per-view. And I really don't miss the Tito Rampage fight one bit. That's not a fight I was looking forward to. I mean, it would be kind of fun to see him, but honestly, Tito is not Tito anymore.
Yeah, Tito was like my boy back in the day. Tito was my dog, but you know,
It's been a
man,
long time.
he's one of the few guys that I think has, no offense, Tito, but I don't like when people always turn on guys later. But man, it was hard to support and be a Tito fan after a while. I think maybe after the cracked skull thing, I was already on thin ice there, and after that, I was like, all right, okay. So
Yeah, that one. Tito just,
I had
yeah.
to tap out after that one.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. For those of you who sat through this live, apologies for the technical difficulties. I'm going to stitch these together. We'll have one united video that we'll put up on Bloody Elbow later this afternoon. Dallas is
Because
going
we are
to,
all one united video.
just like Genki Sudo says, we are all one. All right,
Yes.
Dallas. And we'll be back with a in-depth preview of the UFC Fight for the Troops that's coming up next Wednesday. So we'll be back Sunday or Monday with that, maybe Tuesday.
Yep. One thing I'd just like to add.
That's right. Adios, MMA aficionados. It's Kid Nate, Dallas Winston, sign out. Oh, and subscribe to MMA Nation so you can see our live disasters as they happen. All right, Dallas. We'll see you next time.
All right, brother.